some cases, we work in partnership with the industry. So, people think we're a loggerhead sometimes with policymakers. For the last 3 or 4 years, I've been to the European Parliament building and sat in a room alongside, the first year I went actually, the Home Secretary of the UK was Theresa May, and all of the Home Security Ministers in Europe, alongside tech company representatives. And we've talked about how do we fight violent extremism online. And we actually put in place a whole bunch of measures working together, things like training Europol, the Home Office and other to use tools to help investigate what's going on online. Things like building better systems ourselves. Things like sharing our technology with others in the industry. So if we see a video that should not be allowed, we can notify our industry peers, Facebook, Twitter, and other platforms, and they can stop it ever getting in front of a user. So there's actually quite a lot that's gone on in the fight against that sort of extremism.
But it is very complex, isn't it? As you say, I mean, right now, we're going through this whole Tommy Robinson question. So Facebook have taken him down. He's still on YouTube. Because he's very, very careful about how he uses YouTube. And he knows exactly what your policies are. How do you feel about hosting Tommy Robinson on YouTube?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I find his point of view on the world abhorrent. And I think it's a very difficult call. And I think what we have to do, so you're absolutely right. He's looked, I presume, he's looked at the policies and tried to ensure that any videos on YouTube don't contravene the policies. And our reviewers have taken that view at the moment. They'll keep it under review. And that's very different from the video content he's used on other platforms, which is why he's been banned elsewhere. What we have to do is we have to look across instances like that and check that we think that the policies are in the right place. Because there is a responsibility here that balances freedom of speech versus stopping hate speech and incitement to violence. And I think in this case, I'm not personally that close to it, but I think in this case we've had one political leader saying you absolutely should take this off YouTube, and another political leader say you absolutely must leave it up there. These videos on YouTube don't get monetized by advertising. They don't get access to the tools other creators have. But from a journalistic point of view, from a public interest point of view, understanding what kind of views are out there, maybe that is useful. And so that's where we're trying to make sure that our policy is in the right place.
But does that make you think, the fact that he's able to be on there when he's been banned elsewhere, that your policies are wrong, or just that that's life and he's clever and you've got to just keep an eye on it?
So I think it gives you pause for thought all the time when you're dealing with these challenging cases. I think in his instance, as I understand it, the videos are different on different platforms. But I think, it's absolutely an area that's under very close review all the time. And this is never going to be a static game, right? So
because if you were to change your policy because you don't like him, you could change it for anybody. You could change it for Jeremy Corbyn tomorrow, couldn't you?
Exactly. And I think that's one of the challenging things here is it's not about an individual instance. That's the whole point of having the policies, right? It's in order that you can judge something against a set of norms rather than in the heat of a particular moment. But I think we're always going to get pressure on that from both sides.
So should you be the ones who decide is really the question, isn't it?
It's a very good question. I think we should be participating in the discussion, which is why I mentioned, that's the forum, the Internet Forum in Europe, which is a good place to exchange views and get input on where we can move. And also consulting with a wider set of policies in the creation of policies. And it's also fair to say that these discussions are very different in each country. So you've got these platforms that have a global reach. What's legal and appropriate in Germany around Nazism, for example, is different from in other countries in Europe, and rightly so.
That's where I think I started off, sort of, have you unleashed something that is just too big to control? And you can always pretend to be in control of it, but you're not really.
I don't think